What's good, family? So mash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. So, our man's Canelo Alvarez airs out all of his funny style haters and funny style competition. He retweeted a post and said he loves this. And essentially the post sums up that all the goofy man fans out there PBC man fans, Charlo, Bennett, check this. I had one David BENAVIDEZ fan saying, "Oh, BENAVIDEZ just wants his shot. Leave him alone. BENAVIDEZ is one of the best things ever." And listen, what belts has BENAVIDEZ got? Oops. Yeah, don't forget, Alvarez would have been obliged to push David BENAVIDEZ's wig back if he hadn't lost his belt on the scales. Undisciplined having ass. I'm sick of it. Sick of man fans. Yeah? It should be illegal for any man to want to be rubbing off and defending the indefensible of other men they've never met. It's crazy. We saw it with the Wilder fans, rubbing off Wilder for whatever he done. Wilder's twerking, still rub him off. David BENAVIDEZ, check this out, imagine, yeah? Alvarez is collecting every belt at 168. BENAVIDEZ loses his belt on the scales, and somehow that's Alvarez's fault. Oops. Yeah? Why didn't BENAVIDEZ fight Plant? He's at the PBC. Wait a minute, I'm confused. Wait a minute, I'm baffed. Plant is at the PBC. BENAVIDEZ is at the PBC. Why didn't that fight happen? And by the way, I've never once heard BENAVIDEZ campaign to fight Plant. Yeah? It's mad. And the man fan in him is crazy. I saw a video, David BENAVIDEZ punching a bag and everyone's stroking themselves off about it. What's a bag going to do when you're in front of Alvarez? He don't care about no bag. Yeah? How did the bag work out for everyone else? Everyone thinks BENAVIDEZ is so powerful. He doesn't have one punch power. He plugs away, but he slaps away, but that slapping, it's easy to slap when you're in there with Jalen Love, a washed up dude, a washed up Jake Paul's trainer dude. It's another thing when you're in there with Alvarez and it's hitting your back 10 times harder. I guarantee you, all that volume you see from BENAVIDEZ when he's in there with a bum, yeah, you ain't going to see him do. You'll see him shell up. I've watched it a million times. I've seen it a million times where a man, he's throwing a load of combinations when he's fighting bums, then all of a sudden he gets hit back hard and he goes into his shell. And all you'll see him do is stand there and survive with his guard up. He may even go the distance because he'll just stand there with his guard up and just lay and pray. Yeah? I appreciate the fact that Alvarez is laughing and he sees how cynical and how man-fanish and how fangirlish the whole scene is. Because really, the only guy doing it, and yes, I have had criticisms of Alvarez in his management style. I believe he needs to take more of an active and fatherly hand in ordering what needs to happen in the division. I believe Alvarez needs to essentially become a manager, a proxy manager for all these bum fighters and tell them, listen, if you want the big shot, if you want the $10 million fight, you're going to have to start fighting your peers. Alvarez needs to ordain it since the governing bodies won't do it. But apart from that, what isn't he doing? Belt after belt after belt. It's not his fault BENAVIDEZ lost the belt and didn't fight Plant. It's not his fault. I mean, what's BENAVIDEZ been doing? Seriously. What has he been doing apart from hanging around? I'm confused at why isn't BENAVIDEZ campaigning to become mandatory for one of the belts? And then, if Alvarez chooses to relinquish or whatever, I mean, I don't think it will be a duck, but at least then the logic behind BENAVIDEZ fans saying he ducked would have some sort of credibility. BENAVIDEZ isn't doing that. He's happy fighting bums on PBC. The same way he wasn't trying to fight Plant or whatever else was going on. The same way he wasn't trying to fight Andrade or whoever else. There's a reason when you look at David BENAVIDEZ's resume, you don't see nothing on it. And it's not just him, but it's all the same principle. And the reason at the moment is Charlo fans and BENAVIDEZ fans who are barking the loudest. Charlo can't even handle average 160 pounders. You man can't be serious thinking he's going to come up to 168 and do anything, do you? Again, that shows you the strength of the man fan. To sit there and say the quality of Alvarez is possibly ducking an average small fry 160 pounder. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what to say anymore. It's mad for me. It really is mad. For example, I understood when Andre Ward fans said that Golovkin was ducking. That's a fair thing to say. Bear in mind, Golovkin had cleared out 160 and he'd never moved up a weight. Golovkin went pro at 160, I think. So he'd never moved a weight. Certainly in the prime of his career, he'd never moved even one weight. That fight should have happened to Golovkin and Andre Ward. To show if Golovkin wanted to go down as a great I don't think Golovkin's a great. Not after being schooled by Alvarez. Especially if and when he gets stopped by Alvarez. But that would have proven how great he was if he'd have gone up and beat Andre Ward. But he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to challenge himself. And hence, I understand people saying Golovkin ducked. Hanging around in one division when it's completely empty, it's a weak move. It's a beta move, in my opinion. Especially when people have said things like Andre Ward doesn't have power, etc., etc. Golovkin should have been straight up there, looking to push Wig back. The same way now, Golovkin's happy to fight 168 against Canelo. That don't make no sense. That's a contradiction. You had no problem chasing, or you have no problem now chasing Alvarez at 168, but you didn't want to chase Andre Ward in your prime. That's a duck. But the rest of these, man, you can't show me one example of Alvarez going out of his way to avoid. I mean, I can't lie. I have to put my hands in the air. There was a point 5-6 years ago I thought Alvarez was ducking Golovkin. And then, to my surprise, to my pleasant surprise, and that was really, to be honest, it was the second Alvarez fight where he won me over and I became a fan. It's only really in the last year or two I've become a man fan. I have to admit, I am a man fan of Alvarez because of what he does in the ring. His style, the way he goes about things. But back in 2016, I thought, there's no way. There's no way you're going to move up a weight to 160 and then challenge Golovkin. And he went up there and did that. Yeah, he probably lost the first fight, but the way Alvarez may have lost the first fight, he made up for it in buckets in the rematch. It's not close. Even if you think Golovkin beat Alvarez in the first fight, yeah, the bottom line is, yeah, Alvarez beat Golovkin better than Golovkin beat him. If that second fight was an 8 out of 10 performance, Golovkin only had a 7. If you get what I'm saying. Alvarez for certainly has the best win out of the two. Even if you say that Golovkin won the first fight. And that was him coming up a weight. And now he's jumped another weight. In fact, he's jumped 2 weights and beat an old 175er. Who was still dangerous, because we saw what Kovalev did to Anthony Yard, who's a very promising prospect at 175. Not to be sniffed at all. But yeah, all this talk here about ducking, oh look, yeah, Benavidez, but it's crazy. You can't win. Alvarez is fighting 2-3 times a year, the best he can, and all these man fans, meanwhile, they're fighters, don't do anything. What's Charlo been doing? It's mad, I'm sorry, but it's frustrating. It's wild. And that's why if I was Alvarez, if I was managing Alvarez, I'd come out there and put out I'd put out a statement, or I'd put out a manifest. And I'd say, listen, from now on, we're going to make it clear. I will guarantee anyone on this list a shot. Guarantee. Yeah? Anyone on this list a shot. All you have to do is yourself beat someone on this list. Yeah? Simple as that. Put it in contract. Here's an open contract. In this manifesto, there is an open contract. Anyone will automatically qualify for a fight with me under these terms if you beat one of these challengers on this list. And let's see them, guys, because all we know so far, yeah, all these people on the list. Bivol hasn't fought Beterbiev. Charlo hasn't fought Benavidez. Charlo hasn't fought Andrade. Charlo hasn't fought Golovkin. Benavidez haven't fought Golovkin. But they all want a shot and they're all talking about ducking. I'm sorry, it's wild. I've never seen anything like it. Proper wild. Super wild. About Alvarez. Oh, Alvarez picks fights. Alvarez is a cherry picker. Okay, well, let's say Alvarez was a cherry picker. What your man's doing? Because for someone to be a cherry picker, someone must be doing something better somewhere else. And genuinely, there isn't one person doing what Alvarez is doing. Facts. No one. No one's fighting 2 or 3 times a year, for a start. And no one's... Listen, these guys can't even fight, like Charlo and Benavidez, they can't even fight one top headline fight per year. Never mind back to back to back. And you want to talk about Duck? And the crazy thing is, you see this list here. Charlo, Andrade, and Golovkin, and them, man. What people don't appreciate is that how the names cycle and change over time. For example, a year ago, Plant. Do you remember? Plant was in that list. People were saying, oh, Plant's too big for Alvarez. Alvarez, Plant's too big for Alvarez. Alvarez ain't going to want nothing to do with Plant. Yeah, Plant's too slick and Plant's the 168 Mayweather. Now Alvarez has popped his cheeks. All of a sudden, the goalposts move again. And all of a sudden, Plant's dropped from the list. And everyone forgets that Plant was the next best thing. Same as Billy Joe. Oh, Billy Joe never lose. Billy Joe never quit. Billy Joe too slick. Billy Joe beat David LeBum. Billy Joe beat David Lemieux. He can do this, he can do that. Gets whooped. No one mentions him again. That's what I'm not sick of. And the question is, over the next 3 years, how many of these names are you going to see dropped? I'm telling you now, all of them. There ain't one name on here, certainly at 168 or 160, that's going to do anything. I would genuinely back Alvarez to beat 2 on one night. That would be interesting. That would be, for me, where it starts to be interesting. If Alvarez beat Benavidez, I'd back him to beat Charlo afterwards as well. No doubt.